Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. One of my subscribers has asked if I can do a preview of the Brandon Figueroa JOET Gonzalez fight. I wasn't going to do one, but ask and it shall be given. This is it. Yeah, interesting fight, definitely, because you've got two guys who are, I suppose they're almost in danger of falling into that gatekeeper role. They're way too good to be considered journeymen. They're more than fringe contenders even. I mean, you'd put them both probably in the top 15 maybe. But they're going to clash. And even though they've both got defeats on their record, you know, neither has ever been stopped. I mean, Brandon Figueroa has 25 wins with 19 KOs, so he's got a bit of pop to his punch. 2 defeats and 1 draw. JOET Gonzalez, 27 wins with 15 KOs, 4 defeats, again, none by stoppage, no draws. And Gonzalez, is this a crossroads fight? I suppose you could argue it is, because Gonzalez, orthodox fighter from the US, I think he's based in LA. He is 31 now, so you could argue the clock's ticking. By the way, these are featherweights, I should have pointed that out. 31 years of age. Brandon Figueroa, 28, so he's probably in his prime, as good as he's going to get. But it is one of those fights where you're thinking, okay, who's going to win this one? Now, if you look at Figueroa, his last fight was earlier this year. It was in February, and it was a rematch with Stephen Fulton, and that was for the WBC featherweight title. Now, he had won the interim belt and I think had been upgraded to the full fat version. And he was expected by many, I've got to be honest, myself included, to give Fulton all he could handle and maybe beat him. I actually made that a 60-40 fight in favour of Figueroa. In fact, it wasn't. Fulton won relatively comfortably. I think it was like a 116-112 sort of fight. And to be honest with you, I was a bit disappointed with Figueroa, because this was his chance to, you know, gain revenge. He'd previously lost a majority decision, and that was for the WBC and WBO bantamweight titles. That was a unification, actually, because Figueroa had stopped Luis Nery in a very impressive performance with his body punch knockout. That was for the WBC Super Bantam title. And then he lost the majority to Stephen Fulton. They both moved up. Subsequently, you know, Fulton was knocked out by Inoue. They met again at featherweight, and I think Figueroa might have this, but he was slightly disappointing. He looked to me like he didn't have a great game plan. He just wasn't at his best. But still a good fighter. I mean, prior to that, he'd knocked out Jesse Magdaleno. Only had 2 defeats on his record. That was a 9th round TKO. He'd beaten Mark Magsayo. That's a good win. Magsayo had only had 1 defeat on his record. He beat him by unanimous decision. Prior to that, I mean, there was Carlos Castro. That was a good win. TKO in 6. So he came back really well after the first Fulton defeat, and it was a little bit lacking in that rematch. It was a bit disappointing. So he's really, even though he's still only 28, there's time left, but he needs to, I suppose he needs to make a statement now, if you like, just to sort of keep his name in that world title mix. Now, Gonzalez, they're both orthodox fighters, by the way. Gonzalez, his 4 defeats have been to very good men. He had an IBF world title fight against Luis Alberto Lopez when Alberto Lopez held that belt, and lost a unanimous decision. Again, I can't remember the cards, but I think there was probably about 4 or 5 points in it, something like that. And, you know, did well, but it was very competitive, but Lopez won the fight. He also lost a split decision to Isaac Dogbay. That was back in 2022. Emmanuel Navarrete, he went the distance with him over 12. That was a WBO featherweight title fight. We know how crazy Navarrete is, throws punches from all angles. Very, very unusual style, difficult to navigate your way through. But Gonzalez went the distance. And Shakur Stevenson, he went the distance with Shakur Stevenson, lost very, very wide. We know Stevenson is an extremely good technician. Of course, at the weekend he beat Williams Zepeda. So, again, no shame in that. It really isn't. I mean, Shakur is, of course, up at lightweight now. This was a featherweight, WBO featherweight title fight, vacant, I think it was. But Shakur did win, if not all rounds, then most of them, 10 or 11 of them. So you could argue that Gonzalez, when he gets to that upper echelon of feathers, he hasn't quite got enough to get the job done, to pick up a belt or a world belt or just cross the finishing line, But he does have good skills. He's only got 15 knockouts in 27 KOs, so perhaps the lack of one-punch power is holding him back a little bit. I think of the two, Figueroa hits harder, but I think, to be honest with you, and I've seen both of these guys fight quite a lot, I think Gonzalez, although he's lost 2 of his last 4, Dogbay and Luis Alberto Lopez, he did have a split decision win over Arnold Kagai, who was 22 wins, 1 defeat and 1 draw. He won a split decision over him. And I think that 10-round victory will have spurred on Gonzalez. I think it will have increased his confidence or his morale, perhaps, because when you're losing close fights, like the Lopez fight, like the Dogbay fight, which was a split decision, it can be demoralising, it can be frustrating. And for him to finally get a split decision win in a close fight, even though it was a 10-rounder, not a 12-rounder, that will have made him think, okay, yeah, I can do this after all. The judges are going to give me the rubber the green occasionally. And that win over Kagai put him back in the mix, definitely. So I think probably the momentum is slightly with Gonzalez. Now, I would say Figueroa is a better technician when he wants to be, but I know that that it's a mistake to say you're only as good as your last fight, because, as I said before, Figueroa's form was very, very good leading up to the Stephen Fulton rematch. He has that that nice sort of mixture of good boxing skills, very good power, and he mixes them together well. He likes to come forward, but he's not averse to boxing on the back foot if he needs to. He doesn't. I think he's a very capable all-rounder. Gonzalez is one of those fighters who's good at everything but not great at everything, which I suppose hints at a sort of gatekeeper type. But in this fight, I sort of lean. I'll tell you why I lean towards Figueroa to pinch a decision, and that is because of activity. I think if you look at Gonzalez, the Kagai fight was early this year. It was in March. Now, he didn't fight at all in 2024. He had the 2 fights, the defeat to Lopez and a win over Enrique Vivas that was in 2023. The Dogbay defeat was in 2022, but nothing in 2024. So that Kagai fight, it sort of smacks to me of, well, this is last chance saloon. I'll give it one more go. I'm in my 30s now. I'll give it one more go, and he got the win, which is good. That shows a good momentum, in terms of a comeback. But one fight in 2 years, whatever it is. I mean, if you compare that to Figueroa, like I say, the Fulton fight was earlier this year. There was in 2024 he fought Magdaleno and stopped him, which was a good result. The Magsayo fight, unanimous decision, that was in 2023, and the Castro fight in 2022. he's had one fight against in each of the subsequent years since the first Fulton defeat, but they've been very good men, and he was getting wins. This is a very difficult fight to predict, but I just think that in terms of skills, I think Figueroa might be able to pinch it if he's up for it, if he's on it. I think he's just a slightly better all-rounder, slightly better at everything than Gonzalez. Gonzalez can be crafty, and he can also be, any aggression he puts on it's not caveman stuff. He does like to try and outbox you as well as outfight you, but I think Figueroa has probably got just a little bit too much pedigree for Gonzalez. So I'm going to go for Figueroa to win a close one over 12 rounds, over 12 competitive rounds. Could even be a majority or a split decision. But I think Figueroa will edge this. I'm not convinced by saying that. This is one of those fights very, very difficult to predict. It could be that even though he was inactive, nothing in 2024, that Kagai fight gave Gonzalez, the real sort of pep up that he needed. It could be that. And they're both good fighters. They're both very capable fighters. But with no great confidence, I'll say Figueroa edges it. Just a little bit more stylish work, maybe a little bit busier. Also, it's possible that Fulton defeat was his wake-up call. He thought, God, I'm better than that. And he wants to go out and prove it. So I don't know. What do you think? I really don't know about it. This is a very difficult fight to predict, but what do you think? Who would you pick? Leave your predictions below, and please, let me know why you're picking whichever fighter you are picking. Thank you very much for watching the video. If you liked it, please hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel if you're new. I'd appreciate that a great deal. And my subscriber who wanted me to do this video, I know I haven't sounded very convincing with my prediction, but it is a tough fight to predict. If you're watching, who do you think will win? Comments below. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thanks very much, and bye for now.